This is not a kid-friendly show.
Yo, what's going on, my dudes? Welcome to another RuneScape news coverage video. So today we're going to be talking about a forum post by Matthe regarding 120 Slayer, specifically a frequently asked questions post that should answer some of the questions you may have about the update. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into it. The first question is, why are we doing Slayer 120 and not fixing other skills or completing an invention? Mod Osborne responds, Slayer is extremely popular. It is one of our most played skills, and Slayer to 120 was extremely high in the recent player survey. To me, that popularity is because it bridges non-combat and combat players, and it feels very naturally rewarding. You could point to other skills and say that we should fix them first, or that we should fill out incomplete skills. I agree, and we're doing a lot of that this year in the form of the mining and smithing rework and content tied to unannounced expansions. But we cannot solely focus on fixes, because fixes are not things to do. There are players who demand new challenges, new stories, and new content, and without them the game loses interest. A lack of new content sees a drop in play. While we will have fixed the games by concentrating solely on reworks, the game will have become unhealthier as a result, and Slayer to 120 is a chance to fix something. It's an opportunity to add new challenge to a skill that was beginning to become too easy for many. In the future, we will stop focusing so intently on Slayer, but for now it's a topic that a lot of players enjoy. Mod Joe responds, Slayer 120 also stands as part of our first expansion. While it is focused on higher level players, it is worth remembering that much of Matthe will be extremely accessible to a wider range of players with great content designed for them. Next question, does this mean you'll be moving other skills to 120? If it suits the skill, yes. Slayer is an unusual skill because the player was getting increasingly good at training it over the years. New weaponry and gear was coming from bosses, meaning that creatures from yesteryear were being taken down without even the need for food. Slayer to 120 allows us to address this by bringing in more challenge at the top end of the skill without boss-like complexity. If another skill makes a case for the increase, then we will do it, but we will be incredibly aware of the pressures this puts on compers and maxers. It's something we should do rarely and only with your input. Next, why have an amnesty? There are multiple reasons we are planning to include an amnesty. When Slayer 120 was first announced at RuneFest, we said that you had a year to get 120. A 3-month amnesty after a June launch would honor that commitment. It also discourages a negative approach to completionism. It is not just an issue for those with completionist capes, as significant numbers of RuneScape players have a completionist mentality, regardless of whether or not they own a comp cape yet. Finally, because expansions are new, and Matthe at least, will be filled with new comp requirements, we want to encourage players to explore and enjoy all the new content at their own pace without feeling the pressure of wanting to get their capes back. This is not about pandering to those complaining. We consider it a more positive change to our approach to completionist requirements as a whole. Next question, I am worried about the effect of the game economy. Mod Days responds, this is something we are going to be careful with when it comes to balancing of new Slayer dungeon. As mentioned in RuneFest 2016, a treasure chest within a dungeon will collect the loot for you. This means players will be taking more loot than ever. Before, many drops would be left on the floor. So we have to be very careful when it comes to giving out certain items, such as herbs and seeds. Due to this, the average loot of each monster will likely be lower compared to some previous Slayer monsters to account for this. We will also look at what items will be dropping and try to ensure where possible that we are avoiding disrupting the market. Mod Matthe responds to this by saying, every update, because it makes changes to the shape of the game and the supply and demand of the economy, has the potential to affect the in-game markets to some greater or lesser extent. Some change will happen, but as Mod Days has said, we are considering carefully the potential changes and how we want to manage those. Next up, are you planning a new Slayer Master? This is something you'll have to wait and see about. Most players seem to have the notion that Slayer above 99 will just use the exact same mechanisms as the skill has now. Don't assume that will be the case, though it might be, and either way will have familiarity. If there is not a new Slayer Master in the end, it will be because there didn't need to be one. So how is the boss in the dungeon not just making it bossing and not Slayer? This will be a boss more similar to those of Legions in the Ascension dungeon. It will have more mechanics than a standard Slayer creature, but will be built and balanced more in line with the Slayer mindset. It is a Slayer dungeon with a Slayer boss in it as part of a Slayer update. Next up, any of you making any changes to Slayer daily challenge? Clearly, as your level increases, so does your XP. Therefore, by increasing the level cap to 120, you should expect to see the daily challenge reward increase in line with this. Any other challenges are something we'll be keeping under our hats for now, but at the very least you should expect to receive more level appropriate challenges post 99. Next up, how many new mods are you adding? We are not saying yet, as that is one detail we want to keep back for now, but we can assure you that any concerns that Slayer 99 to 120 won't be a well populated space are unfounded and incorrect. So are you filling all the slots again, so no room to expand? There is always room to expand. Nothing dictates that two different Slayer mobs cannot be unlocked at the same Slayer level. For example, we are confident that we can give plenty to do and still leave room for expansion in the future. Why are you focused on elite, skilled, and geared players? What about average players? We are considering all player types of all levels and ability when looking at Slayer 120. The new Slayer dungeon will use similar mechanic to the Ascension dungeon, a task that covers a number of different monsters ranging from a relaxed, laid-back encounter up to a fight where you are dealing with different mechanics. This means no matter what your personal skill level, gear, or playstyle, there should be something here for you. More difficult monsters will be more rewarding to encourage higher engagement, but those of you who want a laid-back experience should still find competitive XP rates here. If you have any further concerns, please let us know. So is Slayer 99 through 120 going to be locked into just a single dungeon? On launch, the top rates will be within the Matthe Slayer dungeon. However, depending on the difficulty of the monster you're fighting, you may have equal or better XP rates outside of Matthe. We do not want to force you to stay within a single dungeon from 99 onwards. Slayer should remain a skill where you experience varied tasks. As more updates are released, expect to see more 99 plus Slayer monsters released. So why are you planning to mess about with how Slayer is now? With the increase to 120, we are changing this from an optional goal to more compulsory requirement. This means we have to ensure the XP rate scales nicely all the way from the start to the end. Slayer XP rates have increased significantly since its launch, and notably within the last year. Additions such as VIP tickets, task blocking, task preferences, task skipping, Slayer mask, invention perks, various new gear including high tier weapons now up to 92, EOC, the list goes on. All of these things have contributed to increasing Slayer XP rates over recent years. A slight increase to the health of some key Slayer mobs should not be a major cause for concern. The overall effect will be minimal in the grand scheme of things and will serve to make the skill feel more complete. Are you planning to do anything about crashing? We are aware of the issues due to the increased interest in Slayer due to the 120 announcement. We have some plans in place such as changing respawn times to be static instead of based on a number of players per world, as well as further mechanics that we could introduce alongside the Matthe expansion. We will continue to bear it in mind as we design and develop. The final question is, I don't like something you are doing, to which Matthe responds, we want you to tell us about it. As you can see from this FAQ, the surveys we have conducted, and the dev diary, we are really keen to hear your feedback and to communicate what we hope to achieve from this update. We'll keep talking to you about Slayer 120 while we work on the design and development of it, and we'll keep listening to your feedback. It is of course true that we will not be able to implement all of your requests, but we will bear your thoughts in mind as we work. So that wraps up the FAQ. Hopefully it answered some of the questions you may have so far. I'm sure they're going to be doing more of this in the future, or at least revealing more information about their progress regarding it, and I will definitely cover it the more they go over it. So that wraps it up for the video. If you like to hit that like button. If you're not subscribed yet, you want to stay up to date on all things RuneScape, you are already in the right place, so hit that subscribe button, and I will definitely keep you up to date on the Slayer 120 going forward, my dogs. Anyways, I appreciate your time. I am out, my doggies. Peace.